Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be going over some greenhouse basics, an aeroponics system. So what exactly is aeroponics? Aeroponics is something I got into after retiring from the Navy, and I'll tell you, it's one of the most impressive and efficient ways to grow plants that I've ever seen. After years of working in tight, controlled environments on ships, I was naturally drawn to systems that make the most of limited space and resources, and aeroponics checks all those boxes. Instead of planting in soil, which can be messy, heavy, and full of problems like pests and rot, aeroponics suspends the plants in air and sprays their roots with a fine mist of water mixed with nutrients. It might sound a little high-tech at first, but once you see it in action, it makes a lot of sense. The plants grow faster, stay healthier, and use way less water than anything I ever tried in a traditional garden. And trust me, I've tried plenty. One of the things that really stands out about aeroponics is how much oxygen the roots get. In soil, roots are always fighting for air, especially if the ground gets too wet or compacted. But in an aeroponic system, the roots are literally hanging in open air and getting misted regularly, which means they're breathing easy all the time. That oxygen helps the plants absorb nutrients more effectively and keeps everything running like a well-oiled machine. Plus, without soil, there's a lot less mess and maintenance overall. You don't have to worry about weeding, tilling, or soil-borne diseases, which saves a lot of time and headache. Now, I won't lie and say it's completely foolproof. Aeroponics does require a bit of a learning curve, especially when it comes to setting up the misting system and dialing in the nutrient mix. It also relies on electricity to keep things running, so if your power goes out or the pump stops working, you've got to act fast. But with a little discipline and regular maintenance, it's totally manageable. And the rewards are worth it. You can grow food just about anywhere and do it with a fraction of the water you'd normally need. I run my setup in a small greenhouse out back, and I've got everything from lettuce to tomatoes thriving in there. What's great is that you can build it up vertically, stacking rows of plants to make the most out of your space. It's perfect for folks living in smaller homes, urban areas, or places with bad soil. And because everything's in a closed system, you've got full control over the growing environment, light, temperature, humidity, the works. It's like running a tight ship. You monitor, adjust, and optimize as needed. And at the end of the day, you've got clean, fresh produce that you grew yourself without wasting water or relying on chemicals. For me, aeroponics is more than just a hobby. It's a practical, sustainable way to stay self-sufficient and grow food right at home. With the way the world's going, rising food costs, water shortages, unpredictable weather, I think systems like this are going to be a big part of the future. And for anyone with a little patience and a background in keeping things running smoothly, it's a great way to grow. When I first got into aeroponics, I quickly realized there are two main types of systems people use: low-pressure aeroponics LPA and high-pressure aeroponics HPA. The difference really comes down to how the nutrient mist is delivered to the plant roots. LPA systems are a great starting point for beginners or anyone just looking to grow a few things at home. They use simple low-pressure pumps to create a coarser mist that sprays the roots. It's easy to set up, affordable, and doesn't require a lot of technical know-how to keep it running. I started with LPA myself and had no trouble getting it off the ground. It's reliable, straightforward, and gets the job done without a lot of fuss. HPA systems, on the other hand, take things to a whole different level. These use high-pressure pumps to atomize the nutrient solution into a superfine mist that delivers water and nutrients directly to the roots with much more efficiency. The finer the mist, the more oxygen the roots get, which really boosts plant growth and yield. It's incredible to see how fast things grow when the system is dialed in. That said, it does require more specialized equipment and a bit more upkeep. You've got to keep your nozzles clean, maintain consistent pressure, and monitor things more closely. It's not complicated once you get the hang of it, but it's definitely more involved than LPA. Because of that, HPA is typically used in commercial setups or by folks who are really serious about maximizing productivity. Beyond the pressure systems, there are also two different approaches to how the roots interact with the mist: full aeroponics and semi-aeroponics. In full aeroponics, the entire root system hangs in the air and gets misted at intervals. That's the method I use because it gives the roots maximum exposure to both oxygen and nutrients. It's efficient, clean, and produces strong, healthy plants. Semi-aeroponics is a bit of a middle ground. Part of the roots are misted, while the rest are submerged in water or another medium. It offers a little more cushion if the misting system fails, which some people like, especially when they're just starting out or experimenting with more delicate crops. Choosing between LPA and HPA, or full versus semi-aeroponics, really depends on your goals and how hands-on you want to be. If you're growing for fun or for a small household, LPA and semi-aeroponics are great ways to get your feet wet. But if you're looking for maximum efficiency, faster growth, and higher yields, then HPA with forward suspension is absolutely the way to go. It takes more effort, but the payoff is worth it. I've tried both and continue to learn something new with each setup. What I love most is the level of control you have over every part of the growing process. Whether you're a backyard gardener or looking to scale things up, understanding these systems opens the door to a whole new way of growing that's sustainable, productive, and surprisingly accessible once you get started. My entire greenhouse runs off a 500-gallon rainwater collection tank, and honestly, it works like a charm. Since this water isn't used for drinking, cooking, or any kind of personal hygiene, I don't bother running it through a filter. The plants don't seem to mind one bit. In fact, they thrive on it. Rainwater is naturally soft and usually has a good balance of minerals that plants can use, so there's no real need to mess with it. I know some folks like to filter their water just to be extra cautious, but in my experience, for a system like this, it's not necessary. The way I see it, plants have been growing in rain for millions of years without us stepping in to filter it first. Every now and then, just to satisfy my own curiosity, I'll check the pH of the water to make sure it hasn't shifted too far one way or the other. But honestly, I've never had an issue. It's stayed consistent enough that I've come to trust it. The system is simple, sustainable, and it saves a ton of water, not to mention money. It's one of those setups where once it's in place, it just works. And that kind of low-maintenance reliability is exactly what I'm aiming for out here. There are plenty of ways to get started with your own aeroponics system, and honestly, it's a lot more accessible than most people think. I've seen folks put together DIY setups using just a plastic storage bin, drill a few holes in the lid to hold your plants, let the roots hang down, add a small pump and a misting system, and you've got yourself a basic aeroponic grower. It's something just about anyone could throw together with a quick trip to Home Depot. That's the beauty of aeroponics. It doesn't have to be fancy to work. That said, if you're looking for something with a little more structure, Amazon surprisingly has a good number of aeroponics towers at decent prices. Let's be real, Amazon has just about everything these days. Now, I can't personally vouch for the quality of all those cheaper tower systems because some of them look a little iffy, especially if you're expecting long-term performance. But I ended up investing in one of the higher-end options they offer, the Flex Deluxe Vertical Aeroponic Planter. It wasn't the cheapest option, but I've been using it for a while now, and it's held up well. It's compact, efficient, and makes managing multiple plants pretty straightforward. I'll go ahead and drop the link to it in the description if you're curious and want to check it out for yourself. Whether you want to build something on your own or buy a plug-and-play system, there's really no excuse not to give aeroponics a try. It's easier than you think, and honestly, pretty fun to mess around with once you get going. So that about wraps it up for today's video on aeroponics. Just a basic look at how these systems work and what's possible if you're thinking of getting into it yourself. Whether you're someone who's always had a green thumb or you're just starting to explore ways to grow your own food at home, I hope this gave you a clearer picture of what aeroponics is all about. It's not some futuristic, out-of-reach technology. It's actually pretty practical and adaptable once you get your hands on it. Like anything else, it takes a bit of patience to learn the ins and outs, but the payoff is rewarding. For me, it's become a reliable, low-maintenance part of my routine that keeps the greenhouse productive and gives me something to tinker with. I'm not here to tell you it's the only way to grow plants, but if you're interested in trying something efficient, clean, and just a little different, it's definitely worth looking into. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.